Good morning and welcome. This meeting is called by Melissa Almodovar, Procurement Director. My name is Catherine Vidal, Technical Specialist in the Procurement Division for the CDBG-DR and CDBG-MIT program. In this pre-proposal meeting, we are going to discuss the request for proposals number CDBG-MIT-RFP-2023-02 for PV systems, water storage system design, acquisition, and installation services under Community Installation Subprograms of Community Energy and Water Resilience Installation Program. I would like to introduce the Puerto Rico Department of Housing personnel. Along with me is Jose Colon Rivera, Technical Specialist, Gidrune Simonevichute, Procurement Technical Specialist, Glorian Rodriguez, Energy Specialist, and Carolina Fernandez Acosta, Federal Compliance Division. Any questions submitted in this meeting will be answered in writing and published in an addendum. Any information provided in this meeting does not change the terms and conditions established in the request for proposal instructions. The meeting will be recorded and available on the CDBG-DR YouTube channel. All procurement processes shall be conducted in accordance with the terms and conditions established in the procurement manual and CDBG-MIT program to guarantee full and open competition and fair treatment of all persons and entities involved in each procurement process. The procurement manual is available at our website, incorporated by reference and made an integral part of this request for proposal. Now, we have a presentation for from the multi-sector division for an explanation of the scope of work.
Good morning. I will be sharing the presentation. My name is Glorian, specialist for the energy program. Everybody can see it?
Yes.
Thank you. This is the pre-proposal virtual conference for design, acquisition, and installation services for the Community Energy and Water Resilience Installation Program, Community Installation Sub-Program. This is a request for proposal, CDBG-MIT-RFP-2023-02. Our agenda today is an overview, the program organization chart, program objective and workflow, program area, community profile, project types, system packages and warranties, and scope of work task. The overview is PRDOH is issuing this request for proposal to procure design, acquisition, and installation services for the community of Ala de la Piedra in Orocovis, Puerto Rico, under the following program, CDBG-CI, with a budget of $50 million. Our program organization chart, we have supporting entities, which is HORN, our grant manager, the Department of Energy, and La Universidad de Puerto Rico, Mayagüez. We are the Department of Housing, and this is the CDBG-CI program manager. We have applicants from target communities and the design installation contractors. Program objective and workflow. The CDBG-CI sub-program assists eligible households in pre-selected targeted communities with the need for alternative renewable energy installation and water storage system to mitigate the effects of energy and water lifeline failures or disruptions. The sub-program provides homeowners with the energy and water efficiency improvements to offer resilience during emergencies by installing photovoltaic systems with battery energy storage, adding battery energy storage to existing photovoltaic system, and/or a water storage system, depending on eligibility determinations. Saudi CI will be offering an award for households from targeted communities to cover 100% of the total system eligible cost, up to $40,000 max award cap for systems. Our targeted selection was the community selection. This was done with data informed by the Department of Energy, Sandia National Lab, and the University of Puerto Rico de Mayagüez. Following was the target outreach, data gathering, intake and eligibility review process with our design and acquisition, installation procurement, parallel. Next will be design and environmental review, grant agreement, installation and inspection, and finally close out. The program area. While the Saudi CI subprogram includes communities served by electrical feeder 9901-01 and 9901-02, this RFP is specific for the first community group, the Ala de la Piedra community. As you can see, it's in the area of Orocovis. Community profile. Homes are surveyed by the program to gather information on the household and property. Information resulting from the surveys conducted for Ala de la Piedra community can be found in attachment 6, community profile, where you can see the table. There's the primary ID, household members, property type, number of stories, roof materials, outer walls, interior walls, energy consumption, the recommended system, either photovoltaic, battery, or water storage system, and a photo of the structure. For this community group, there's about 108 applicants from Ala de la Piedra community. Project types. The program has identified the household's existing conditions and needs and the construction types, including the diverse topography conditions of each. As a result, the program design recommendations were defined and classified based on different house and site conditions. For PV systems, there's different types, A, B, C, I, C1, C2, and D. So for A, there's a standard rooftop mounted photovoltaic system with good roof conditions. With B, it's a ballasted ground mounted photovoltaic system. PV ballast system must be mechanically attached to avoid ground disturbance. This anticipates that there's no permits required if structure is less than 3 feet high, but there will be an environmental review as needed. Referred to Saudi CI program guidelines for levels of environmental review. For C1, there'll be an attached to housing unit light frame structure to hold the PV, requires a permit, environmental review, and abatement if significant paint disturbance is more than 20 square feet of the exterior surface. C2 is a standalone light frame structure to hold PV, and it requires a permit and environmental review. For these 3 types, these PV system types are considered for those houses where the roof has no space or structural support for PV and battery and/or water storage system. Finally, there's type D, which is a photovoltaic in a pole system. Requires a permit and environmental review, but no abatement. This PV system type is considered when the roof has no space or structural support for PV with battery and water storage system. And additionally, the property also lacks space to build a structural frame for the PV system. Systems, packages, and warranty. The Saudi CI subprogram offers standard system packages for photovoltaic, battery, and water storage system for single-family dwelling units based on the eligible applicant's household energy and water needs. The following system packages and warranties have been established. PV system for a 3 kW module with a battery voltage of 48 volts and a required battery bank output of a minimum of 9 kilowatts per hour and a PV system of 4.3 kilowatts module with a battery bank voltage of 48 volts and a required battery bank output of a minimum of 12.8 kilowatts per hour. There is 2 types of water storage system, minimum of 300 gallons and a maximum of 500 gallons. Warranties. The selected proposals must warrant all types of the following period. 10 years guarantees for the solar photovoltaic system panels, 25 years of linear performance guarantee for the solar modules, 10 years for the battery bank and inverter, and 5 years for the water storage system. Scope of work tasks. Detailed tasks related to the RFP can be found in the scope of work. There will be a pre-installation assessment, which is a property visit and evaluation with the scope of work. Next will follow a design service, project planning, preliminary design, construction drawings and specifications, followed by an award visit with the PMs, orientation to applicants of the offered measures, clarification questions regarding to the scope of work, grant agreement, execution. Permitting. Permitting will be a permit identification and acquisition, regulatory agency coordination, request for information. Following by system installation and testing, abatement, demolition and construction, third-party inspection services, interconnection, commissioning, orientation, and system training. Finally, there will be an additional services due to unforeseen conditions for the contractor to deliver a complete and thorough design. Additional services may be covered in the allowance. Finally, there will be an administrative closeout, project closeout, and reporting. This is the end of the presentations. Any questions, please submit in writing per RFP instructions. Thank you.
Thank you to the multi-sector division for such important information. Now we're going to continue with the RFP documents acquisition. The RFP documents are available for download on the CDBG-DR website as presented on screen. Important dates. The schedule for submission of questions and requests for clarifications are on or before January 19, 2024 at 4 p.m. Responses to any questions and requests for clarification on or before January 26, 2024. Proposals due date are from February 29, 2024 at 9 p.m. that the system will open, up to February 23, 2024 at 4 p.m. Now, with you, I will leave Gidrune Simonai-Vichute to explain the submissions of inquiries and agenda.
Good morning. Responses to all proposals questions will be answered by addenda and will be posted on the CDBG-DR website. All documents related to this acquisition process, including the addenda issued by the Puerto Rico Department of Housing, are and will be available for download on the CDBG-DR website. All proposers are responsible for monitoring the CDBG-DR website for any issued addenda in this RFP. Please submit all inquiries in attachment 3 of the RFP and send them to the email as seen on the screen. Proposal electronic submission. Proposals will only be accepted electronically. The Puerto Rico Department of Housing will neither require nor accept physical proposal submissions. If a proposal is submitted on paper and electronically, only the electronic submission will be considered for evaluation. After completing the registration process through the CDBG-DR website, the proposers will receive access to submit their proposals. Once the scheduled submission period begins, a link will enable access to the registration form. Please complete all required fields in the form. Proposals must be submitted within the closing date and time scheduled. Access to upload the proposals will begin 3 business days before the scheduled closing date and time. Proposals submitted after the prescribed deadline will not be allowed. And now I leave you with Jose Colon, who will explain the evaluation criteria.
Good morning. Thank you, Jidruna. The evaluation committee will evaluate responsive proposals in accordance with the criteria listed below. The criteria below are listed in order of importance. Critical. Professional and qualifications and experience of the proposer to successfully perform the services required in this RFP, as evidenced by the successful implementation of relevant services of similar scope and complexity, preferable in large complex public organizations like state governments and municipalities. Professional qualifications and specialized experience of the proposed personnel as evidenced by relevant experience to the role proposed. Quality of the proposed approach and its relevance to the services described in this RFP, including implementation, scale, and understanding of the PRDOH goals. Important. Capacity of the personnel and the ability to commit adequate time to effectively perform the services in the role assigned within the required time frame. Pass and fail. Financial stability of the proposer and its capacity to effectively perform the services. Designer entity compliance with Act 173-1988 as amended and or Act 319-1938 as amended. Level, quality, and relevancy of participation by Section 3 business concern and MBWB registered Puerto Rico business. Price proposal, reasonableness of overall price, allocation of effort, and overall value offered. Now, the SAM registration. Proposers and first-tier subcontractor must be registered in the System for Award Management, also known as SAM, at the time of the proposal submission or initiate the registration process right after the proposal submission. For more information, please visit the SAM website. There is no fee to create, renew, or update your registration. Awards will only be issued to entities that are clear and not ineligible for award of a contract due to suspension, debarment, or HUD-imposed limited denial of participation. Now, we will leave you with Carolina Fernandez Acosta from the Federal Compliance Division to explain the federal compliance requirements. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the space to present compliance and labor standards requirements. This presentation is prepared in English. However, should anyone need this presentation in Spanish, you can request using the protocols for this procurement to submit the request. I am representing the Department of Housing Federal Compliance team, led by Maria del Carmen Figueroa. The procurement package contains language that offers contractors the ability to seek a preference. Please remember to use the references and templates that are made available and that we will be discussing in this presentation. Proposers seeking Section 3 bonus points should provide their self-certifications and sufficient evidence for how they qualify as a Section 3 business. The Department of Housing offers a template on their website. Proposers who are seeking MBE or WBE bonus points should provide a copy of their MWBE certification to provide evidence of this status. The certificates provided should show the dates and indicate that they are currently active. The procurement package contains sections that speak to the applicability and the requirements for MWBE. Within those sections, you will find helpful links to online resources that are made available, such as the policy guide. Procurement packages also contain language for Section 3 under 24 CFR 75. This language speaks to the applicability and compliance with Section 3. Within the section, you will find helpful links to online resources that are made available, such as the policy guide and self-certification templates. Let's talk about Section 3. Section 3 is a federal requirement from the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. This requirement states that we should provide, to the greatest extent feasible, job training, employment, contracting, and other economic opportunities generated by this HUD financial assistance to be directed to low and very low-income persons and businesses. The Department of Housing makes available a Section 3 policy guide on their website, both in English and in Spanish. Contractors must read and implement activities as applicable and necessary. They also are responsible for their subcontractors assuring that benchmarks are met. For Section 3 projects, 24 CFR 75 has established the following benchmarks. 25% of the total labor hours for a project should be work hours of Section 3 workers. And from that 25%, 5% of the total labor hours should be work hours of targeted Section 3 workers. Let's talk about the definition of a Section 3 business. A Section 3 business refers to a business concern meeting at least one of the following criteria, which is documented within the last 6 months. The business is at least 51% owned and controlled by low or very low-income persons. It could also be a business that has at least 51% ownership and controlled by a public housing resident or residents who currently live in Section 8 assisted housing. It could also be a business that has over 75% of the labor hours performed for that business over the prior 3-month period by Section 3 workers. In this slide, we're going to look at the definition of a Section 3 worker. A Section 3 worker can be any worker who fits or, when hired within the last 5 years, fit at least one of the following categories. The worker's income for the previous or annualized calendar year is below the income limit established by HUD. It could also be a worker who is employed by a Section 3 business concern. Or the worker is a youth build participant. Section 3 tools. Section 3 self-certification forms help you uncover if workers and businesses can meet the income thresholds required. HUD also offers a 4736A and C form to be able to be used as a template. We will now turn our attention to minority and women-owned business compliance. There are various regulations that call for the inclusion of minorities and women business enterprises. 2 CFR 200.321, as well as Executive Orders 11625, 12138, and 12432 establish the participation of MWBE firms, which seek to ensure that when possible, contracts and other economic opportunities funded in whole or in part with federal housing and community development assistance are directed to minority business enterprises, and women business enterprises. The Department of Housing has established an MWBE policy guide. This is available on the website in both English and Spanish. You can access those documents using the link on the slide. Let's look at what a minority business enterprise is. An MBE is defined as a business which is at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled on a daily basis by one or more American citizens of the following ethnic minority and/or gender and/or military veteran classifications: African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, Native American, Hasidic Jew, persons with disabilities, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. Women business enterprises, or WBEs, are businesses that are at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more women. The owners must be U.S. citizens or legal resident aliens whose business formation and principal place of business are here in the U.S. or its territories, and whose management and daily operation is controlled by women. The MWBE policy guide will identify that there are goals which apply to professional services, purchasing supplies, and construction contracting. There is a total of 20% minimum participation goal. This 20% is comprised of 10% for women-owned businesses and 10% for minority-owned businesses. Contractors are expected to perform good faith efforts for contracting, subcontracting, and purchasing opportunities of $10,000 or more during the life of the contract. Let's look at the MWBE Utilization Plan. This tool helps you compile data for your subcontracting. It helps you identify what needs you may have. It helps hold discussions on creating supplier and contractor listings, and it provides awareness of meeting the goal for the contract and tracking. You can use the link on the slide to go to the website and download the plan template. Let's review how you should complete your MWBE Utilization Plan. The Department of Housing Utilization Plan template can be used throughout the life cycle of your contract. Completing the plan is pretty easy. You should read the general instructions in row 3 and complete sections A, B, and F from the document. Complete the information requested in the yellow cells. When we talk about certified minority or women-owned businesses, we are referring to those who have filed applications with federal entities such as SBA and others that you see here on the slide. Businesses who are certified can provide proof of completing an application process to be officially recognized as a certified minority or women-owned business. If you are registered as an MWBE, you should provide your valid certificate or other evidence in response to this RFP. In this section, we will be discussing how to complete your efforts and quarterly reporting. In order for you to report your efforts, the Department of Housing provides a tool. This tool helps you document and identify how often you are seeking interactions with Section 3 businesses and MWBE businesses. The quarterly reporting form allows for you to share and report your data with the Department of Housing. This allows the agency to fulfill oversight responsibilities and monitor the progress throughout the year. The Department of Housing's quarterly reporting form allows for the user to capture multiple compliance areas all in one Excel form. Section 3 data is collected. MWBE data is collected as well. FHEO information is also documented within the report. And finally, for those who have construction projects, there is a report for Davis-Bacon Unfound Workers Efforts Reporting. Awarded contractors will be responsible for reporting 4 times a year, on April 5th, July 5th, October 5th, and January 5th. This ensures that you are meeting benchmarks and documenting your efforts. The quarterly reporting template is also available on the Department of Housing website. Let's briefly discuss FHEO. Your RFP package will also contain a model contract which outlines fair housing and equal opportunity areas of compliance. Contractors are responsible for ensuring compliance with federal civil rights and fair housing through their contractors, subcontractors, and so forth, ensuring that all necessary efforts are being made. The Fair Housing Act and Sections 109 and 504 prohibit discrimination against the following protected classes of people: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, familial status, disability, gender identity, and sexual orientation. The Fair Housing Act is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There are many executive orders, laws, and statutes that govern the non-discrimination of protected classes to ensure equal opportunity for individuals in accessing federally funded programs. Equal opportunity is afforded to protected classes through a number of these federal laws and executive orders. The Department of Housing has published policy documents attending FHEO as well as Language Access Plan. These policies must be implemented by contractors and subrecipients. They are publicly available online in both English and Spanish. You are encouraged to click on the links and access the resources available. Thank you for attending today's training. We hope you found the material helpful. Please remember to direct all your questions through the established protocols for this procurement. Thank you to the procurement team for allowing us to present this material. I will stop sharing the presentation so you can continue with the session.
Thank you very much. As stated before, if you have any questions, they must be submitted by addendum. They will be answered by addendum. Any questions submitted in this pre-proposal will be also answered in the same addendum. This is all for today. We thank you and hope to see your proposals. Good afternoon.